To Sam woke up earlier than usual on the morning of October 20th. The sunlight slipped gently through the curtains, brushing across her face like a warm greeting. But instead of smiling, she lay still, quietly staring at the ceiling. It was Vietnamese Women's Day, a day when women across the country received flowers, wishes, and love. At her workplace, every year, she would watch her female colleagues receive bouquets from husbands, boyfriends, or even close friends. Some would hide their smiles. Some would proudly post pictures online. Some would jokingly complain that their partners were late with gifts. And every year, she told herself she didn't need such things. But this year felt different. This year, she had Ly. Ly, the foreign man who had walked into her life unexpectedly and turned her quiet days into something warm, loud, and confusing. Ly, who was thoughtful in small ways but sometimes clueless about Vietnamese traditions. Last week, he had mistaken Mid-Autumn Festival for Lunar New Year and brought her a watermelon instead of mooncakes. She had laughed until her stomach hurt. But today, she didn't feel like laughing. She walked into the kitchen, pretending everything was normal. Ly was already there, making coffee. He looked up and smiled casually. "Morning," he said. To Sam hesitated for a moment. "Morning," she replied softly. He continued pouring his coffee, humming to himself, completely unaware of the silent storm inside her chest. No flowers, no greeting, not even a hint that he remembered what day it was. Maybe he truly didn't know. Maybe she was expecting too much. To Sam forced a smile and started preparing breakfast as if nothing was wrong. But every sound, the clink of the spoon, the boiling kettle, even Ly's cheerful humming, slowly carved a deeper ache inside her heart. She reminded herself, it's just a normal day. But deep down, she wished it wasn't. All morning, too, Sam tried to act natural, but Ly was strange. Not careless strange like before, but suspiciously polite. He kept glancing at his phone, hiding the screen whenever she came too close. He offered to wash the dishes without complaining. He even volunteered to take her daughter, little Hannah, to school, something he usually did only when bribed with pancakes. To Sam narrowed her eyes. This was not normal. "Are you going somewhere today?" she asked casually, as he tied Hannah's shoelaces. Ly froze for half a second, just enough for her to notice. Then he flashed an overly calm smile. "Nope, just normal day, nothing special. Nothing special." The word stung more than she expected. She nodded stiffly and watched him leave with Hannah. When the door closed, silence echoed through the apartment. She crossed her arms, pacing back and forth. Maybe he truly didn't know. Maybe he was just being extra helpful. Maybe she was making it all up in her head. But then the doubt whispered again. Or maybe he was hiding something. Anxiety turned into curiosity. Curiosity turned into irritation. Irritation turned into a decision. She grabbed her phone and texted him. "Sam, did you forget something today?" 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. "Ly, breakfast." To Sam through the pillow at the couch. Fine. If he forgot, she would not remind him. She dressed nicely, put on lipstick, not for anyone else, but to remind herself she was still worthy of admiration. She picked up her bag and headed out for work, telling herself she didn't care. But as she reached the elevator, she saw something that made her stop. Ly was standing at the entrance of the building, pretending to tie Hannah's shoe again. Both of them looked too calm, too quiet, too guilty. Hannah looked up, saw Sam, then immediately covered her mouth like she almost spilled a secret. Ly froze. To Sam crossed her arms slowly. "So," she said calmly, "do you two want to tell me what's going on?" Ly gulped. Hannah stared at the ground. The surprise, whatever it was about to explode, much earlier than planned. Ly opened his mouth, then closed it again. Hannah nervously tugged at his sleeve, whispering not very quietly, "Daddy, say something before she thinks we're criminals." That did not help. To Sam lifted an eyebrow, sharp, calm, dangerous. Ly straightened his back like a soldier about to face execution. Okay. I was going to wait until tonight, he blurted out. But since someone, he pointed gently at Hannah, has the acting skills of a potato, I guess the secret is over. Hannah gasped. Hey, Sam remained expressionless. What secret? Ly took a deep breath, stepped forward, and pulled something from his pocket. A small, slightly crumpled white envelope. For you, he said, suddenly serious. Suspicion flickered into confusion. She slowly took the envelope and opened it. Inside was a handwritten note in messy, childish letters. Not Ly's handwriting. It was Hannah's. Happy Vietnamese Women Day, Mommy. I told Daddy this is important day. He say yes. We make surprise. Please smile today. You are best mommy in world. I love you. Below the note was a drawing, a stick figure family. Sam, Hannah, and Ly, wearing a crooked crown. Sam felt something tighten in her throat. She looked up. Ly wasn't smiling now. His eyes were soft, quiet. I didn't forget, he said gently. I just didn't want to do it halfway, so we needed a little time to prepare. Prepare what? She whispered, voice trembling. That was when Hannah grinned, grabbed her hand, and shouted, Surprise, Plan B. Before she could react, Ly scooped her into his arms, ignoring her startled gasp, and carried her toward the street. Ly, what are you? No more questions, he said with ridiculous determination. Today, you don't walk. Today you receive. Cars passed. Neighbors stared. Hannah marched proudly in front, like a royal escort. And just like that, Sam, the strong, independent single mother, who had long forgotten how it felt to be celebrated, found herself laughing despite her tears. The surprise had been revealed early, but it had only just begun. Ly didn't stop until they reached the small park near their apartment, the one where Sam often took Hannah on quiet evenings. But today, it didn't look quiet at all. There were balloons tied to the benches, flowers arranged in a heart shape on the grass, and a picnic blanket laid out carefully with food containers, each labeled in Ly's questionable handwriting. Fried chicken extra crispy for Queen Sam. No vegetables because she will ignore them anyway, and emergency chocolates only open when crying. Sam stood frozen. Ly, you did all this? Ly scratched his head. Well, Hannah helped. She is CEO of decorations. I'm CFO, Hannah declared proudly, holding up a single sunflower like a royal scepter. Sam tried to speak, but no words came. Her throat was too tight. Ly stepped closer, his voice low and gentle. Sam, you've spent your life being strong for everyone. For your child, for yourself, even for me. But today, I wanted you to feel soft, not because you're weak, but because you deserve to rest, to be loved, to be celebrated. She blinked hard, tears blurring her vision. You idiot, she whispered. You could have just said Happy Women's Day. I'm bad at ordinary, Ly shrugged, so I chose unforgettable. He handed her the sunflower Hannah had been holding. Thank you, she said, voice trembling with both laughter and tears. Hannah suddenly shouted, group hug, and jumped onto both of them like a tiny missile. They stumbled and almost fell, laughing uncontrollably as they clung to each other. For a moment, the world disappeared. No past struggles, no future worries, just warmth, laughter, and the quiet realization that she was no longer alone. Later, as they sat on the picnic blanket, sharing fried chicken and chocolate, Ly leaned closer and whispered, Sam, I don't know what I'll be in your life, partner, supporter, annoying roommate, but I promise one thing. She looked at him, curious. I'll never let you feel forgotten again. Sam didn't reply with words. She simply rested her head on his shoulder. And that was more than enough. Love is not always about grand declarations or perfect timing. Sometimes, it is found in the simplest gestures, a sunflower offered with sincerity, a poorly labeled food container made with effort, or a quiet promise spoken under the evening sky. The story of Ly and Sam reminds us that kindness does not need to be extravagant to be meaningful. What truly touches the heart is consistency, understanding, and the willingness to stand beside someone when they are too tired to stand on their own. For most of her life, too, Sam had learned to survive by being strong. She never expected help, never asked for softness, and never imagined that someone would celebrate her just for existing. But strength without rest becomes exhaustion, and independence without support becomes loneliness. Ly did not enter her life to rescue her. He came to walk beside her. He understood that love is not about replacing someone's strength, but about making sure they no longer have to be strong alone. Through his actions, we learn an important lesson. People do not always need miracles. They need presence. They need someone who notices their fatigue before they collapse. They need someone who says, "Sit, eat, I'll help." Not because they are incapable, but because they finally deserve to breathe. True love is not loud. It is patient. It is not perfect. It is willing. It is not only found in romance, but also in friendship, loyalty, and small everyday choices. When Ly arranged flowers, tied balloons, and cooked Sam's favorite food, he was not just making a surprise, he was speaking a language that said, "Your efforts are seen. Your struggles are acknowledged. Your existence is worth celebrating." And that is a message we should carry into our own lives. We should love people while they are still fighting. Appreciate them without waiting for a special occasion. Offer help before they ask. Sometimes, what looks like a simple gesture on the outside may be the moment someone finally feels alive again. Because at the end of the day, what people remember is not what we say, but how we made them feel. And if we can make even one person feel safe, loved, and valued, then we have already done something extraordinary. Yet, love is not only about giving, it is also about learning to receive. For someone like Sam, who had spent years protecting herself, accepting kindness was not easy. She was used to doing everything alone, to believing that depending on others would only lead to disappointment. When Ly showed care, she did not immediately smile and embrace it. Instead, she hesitated. She questioned his intentions. She even felt guilty for being treated well, as if happiness was something she had to earn rather than something she deserved. And this is another lesson we must understand. Healing is not only about finding someone who loves us. It is about allowing ourselves to be loved. So many people are like Sam, strong, capable, and brave, yet secretly exhausted. They reject help not because they don't want it, but because they fear losing it. They fear that kindness is temporary, that one day it will disappear and leave them more broken than before. That is why Ly's acts of love were powerful, not because they were grand, but because they were consistent. He didn't just show up once, he showed up again and again. He didn't just offer assistance, he offered stability. He gave her time to trust, space to breathe, and the freedom to feel safe without pressure. And through that, Sam slowly learned something she had never truly believed. Being strong is admirable, but allowing someone to care for you is also a form of strength. To anyone reading this, whether you are like Ly or like Sam, if you are a Ly, keep showing kindness, not for reward, but because the world needs more of it. Even if your efforts seem small, they may be the very thing keeping someone's hope alive. If you are a Sam, do not be afraid to receive love. You do not have to earn it through suffering. You do not have to prove yourself worthy. Simply being human is enough. Because in the end, the greatest gift is not a celebration on a special day. It is knowing that even on ordinary days, someone chooses you without hesitation. And that more than any surprise or present, is the kind of love that changes lives forever.